Everyone. Look, people are following and studying Uber stocks and Lyft stocks very, very closely, knowing that these companies are hard hit in these difficult times, right? Today, the stock is down to 22.82 after hours trading at $23. It fell as much as $14.80. It went like free fall until Dara K made an announcement that they had $10 billion in reserves left. But at that point, he intervened, it went up. But what you see now, it's coming back down sharply. And here's the reason why. And I'm giving you my expert opinion as a Uber driver, as a fleet owner that has dealt with Uber over the years, that has followed the chart, that has seen them get to the IPO, and then someone that has really, really followed this company closely ever since. Here's my prediction. So the bottom line is, if you look at Superfly, a reliable source from Israel, they analyze, the bookings, the trip bookings that riders are taking, and that market is down by 94%. The money is just not coming in, right? The money is just not coming in. Going into March, Uber drivers especially abandon the ship. The pond there is dry. There's no money coming in. So now at this point, here's a few things that play out. And you got to look at the stock from an investment side, obviously. I personally have not seen any leadership by any of the executives in this company, whether it's Dara Khosrowshahi, whether it's Tony West misclassifying drivers. All you see in the public is lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, class action suit after class action suit after class action suit. And that is what the public sees every day. Now, investors, financial experts, Wall Street, they say, well, you know what? They put all of that aside and they think, well, this is still an exciting stock, right? I can tell you right now it's not, because they are burning through that $10 billion faster than you will ever believe. They try to pump up the numbers. They try to tell the outside, hey, it's okay. Bottom line is it's not okay. You got to be able to be tapped into the 4 or 5 million drivers and get the intel off the street. No one's driving, right? And because the company has so bitterly disappointed its labor force, its workforce, its drivers, people are leaving. They're done with this company. They have been once bitten, twice shy. They've been 5 times bitten. They just shy. They're walking away. They're walking to other food delivery companies now. Instacart, DoorDash, Grubhub. That is where they are seeing their money right now. That is where they're exiting to, right? So for executives to come out to try and fluff up those numbers, reality is it is not as they say. Many are going over to Lyft. They see better treatment there. There is zero respect and treatment from the company towards drivers. I could tell you, as the labor force, I have one of the top Uber and Lyft channels out there. I get 300 messages every single day from drivers, right? What you guys at Wall Street, what you guys in the financial world see is like one story. But reality is there are several other factors here that you are not taking into consideration. So the public, I would warn you that this time is a really, really bad time to buy in. I truly see it going back to $14.80, even lower. I think as we move into sort of the end of April, I can see this crashing all the way down. There's just nothing coming out. And once you see the next quarterly announcements, you'll see there's just no money in them. They're just tapping, hoping that investment firms like SoftBank and that keep them afloat. They have done so much damage to their workforce, to the laborers, to the drivers, right? It's hard to bring them back on board again. Right now, they have left. They have explored other options out there. They know that they're making monies in other areas. The question is, can Uber get them back, right? Also remember, Uber has stopped their referral dollars. They're not spending any marketing dollars anymore. Maybe when the coronavirus is over, they will start recruiting again. But those app signups, they are not what the company makes it out to be. The truth is people have left. Now, even in the Uber Eats department, their only lifeline where they are getting some sales, where they're getting some money in, right? People are done with this company, right? They haven't, you got to really look at basics. Company has not supplied sanitizers. They have not supplied masks. They have not supplied gloves, nothing. Whereas other gig companies have. Lyft has already supplied. So you have had this for promise after promise after promise by these executives of Uber. And I really want the financial world to listen to my explanation, right? And to take into consideration what I'm telling you here, is because you fluffing up the numbers and you juicing up the numbers on the one side and you misleading the public. You're really misleading the public investor on this stock, right? You may want to make it look like a glorious stock, but the bottom line is everybody is shorting the stock at the moment. And right now, when when it's crunch time, there's just no money. The company has to still pay for all of these hubs worldwide. They're sitting on all of these overheads. They're burning cash like no tomorrow. They have let all of these employees go at these hubs. They're still liable. They still have to pay these monthly rents for hundreds and hundreds of hubs all over the world. And then they're still taking those supersonic salaries. They haven't done anything for their public image. Other people have come out, CEOs, and that have donated their salaries and are appealing to the public and the drivers and showing that they are human, that they care, and that they have compassion. Uber, on the other hand, is doing nothing. They think the storm will just miraculously go away. No, it's not. It's like a tornado going through their headquarters, through their company right now. Drivers are flying out. Everything's flying all over the show, and there's absolute chaos. That is the way I would want you to look at the stock. That is my opinion, right? And I act from the gut, right? I have built up .coms and sold .coms. I've built up a substantial Uber business. I've built up this YouTube channel as one of the top 3 in the world. And I can tell you, and that's not from a bragging perspective. What I'm trying to tell you here is that I'm tapped in on a street level, and I talk to real drivers every day. The financial guys, the investors, the public needs to know it's not all a bed of roses. The roses are not smelling. The roses are wilted, right? There's very little water for the roses, right? There's very little money left. And the company is unhealthy at the moment, So that's why you may have here, when there was panic setting in, right? This is somewhere in March, right? It rebounded a little, but reality is heading in right now. This is where we sort of marching towards the peak of the virus, of the COVID-19, right? And we still have a long way to go. So they're going to be carrying and paying for this infrastructure, burning through those $10 billion. At some point, they're going to have to tap into the cash revolver, into the reserves. At some point, they're going to have to disclose their financials, and then you're going to see a free fall. Maybe at that point, people will be buying in. I said to myself, in one stream, you can go back a few weeks, I said it's going to drop down to 15. It went below 15, right? And I told people to buy in at 15. Several did, made good money on the way up, right up to 27, 28. But I'll tell you right now, if you want to know how this graph is going to behave over the next 60 to 90 days, it's going to be a steady downturn, right? They can just hope and pray they make it through the storm. They can just hope and pray that they have monies left. That little bit that they will have left after the coronavirus, I think they would be asking for a new injection of funds by their big investors, by the Saudi fund, by SoftBank, because they're going to have to stimulate their market again through spending a lot of marketing dollars. They're going to have to try and recruit those drivers back in, and that is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all, right? And people are now, the fact is, if you want to know what's going on, there are a few people doing Uber Eats. Yes, that's what's keeping them sort of alive, not really live. It's not generating much money, but people are comparing, what can I earn at Instacart? What can I earn at Grubhub? What can I earn at DoorDash, right? What can I earn at Postmates? These are companies that are functioning during the COVID times, right? And the fact is that drivers disclose their earnings in Facebook groups. YouTubers talk about the earnings, and people see, okay, follow the money. Where do they go? The money is not with Uber Eats. The money is definitely not with Uber and Lyft at the moment, driving, right? So what are they looking at? Sort of feedback says Grubhub pays well, DoorDash pays well, Instacart is okay. They're very busy, but they're not great, but they're okay. And that is where drivers are really making the money. And my prediction for the next 90 days. So the next 90 days are horrible, horrible, horrible times for Uber and Lyft. I also predict that Lyft, who has no lifeline now, they've been relying just purely on rides. They're drying up. They are in the talks with Amazon, right? Amazon is taking new Lyft recruits. So Lyft is literally funneling in those new driver signups over to Amazon, which then become delivery drivers, right? So my prediction is in the next 60 to 90 days, watch this, Amazon will be swallowing Lyft. Lyft will be under the Amazon banner. That's another one of my big predictions, right? What happens to the stock then at Uber? Who knows? Who knows, right? But I think it would be a smart move for Amazon to make a move on Lyft when the stock dips down again. And I can see it coming down considerably. The only thing that would save these guys, it's Moose is in the house. He says, if this virus situation goes on for a long time, what's the likelihood some of these gig companies go bankrupt? I don't think they'll entirely go bankrupt. I think they're going to be swallowed up by other companies, right? It's not like we're never going to hear of Lyft or Uber again. I think they're going to be bought up by companies like Amazon. But I see Uber as, and thank you so much, it's Moose for asking that question. I see a big risk here for Uber, right? Because they've built their entire enterprise, right, saying that they're a tech company, they're not a transportation company. They have tons and tons and tons of lawsuits looming over negligence and malpractice, just the way they handled the COVID issue. I think Lyft handled it way better. So I see dark times ahead for Uber, with the possibility that they get swallowed up. That their stock will tank, and then maybe Amazon will buy up Uber. But I think because Amazon and Lyft have already made announcements together, already working together, I think that synergy will work well for them in the future. I don't give Uber much hope, and I would highly caution investing into the stock. If you want to really speculate, maybe wait for this to tank till $8 or $10 and then buy in with the hopes that it goes up. You don't want this to become some sort of junk bond where you even lose buying in at that level. But they're in dangerous times. They're in stormy seas right now, and their pond is drying up so fast. So is there anyone here in the room right now that, disagrees with the way that I look at this? Does anybody have an opinion? I'd really like to hear from you. So leave your messages in the comments box, right? I welcome your participation. I welcome your participation if you're a banker, if you're a financial guy, if you're a Wall Street guy, right? I'm purely giving you the input from someone that is dialed in on street level, that deals with a lot of drivers, that has spoken to Uber attorneys on many occasions, that has spoken to other law firms on many occasions, who knows what's in the pipeline there, that there's big class action lawsuits coming. Can they survive, right? Can they survive based on this current challenge, this current pandemic? Can they see it through? How long will it last, right? It's all of these unknowns. We have some numbers, we have some predictions from other countries, foreign countries. We're looking at their graphs, looking at what they are doing looking at timelines. Best case scenario, I would say best case scenario, this blows over in 90 to 120 days time as we go into summer, peak summer. That I think is best case scenario. And then maybe cities get opened up again to transportation. The big challenge for Uber is going to be getting those riders back. Those riders have left the ship. They are working elsewhere now. Can Uber get those people back? And with those $10 billion reserves that they're burning through fast and furiously every single day, right? That's all they have. 94% rides are down, nothing coming in. A little bit coming in on Uber Eats. Got all these hubs to finance and keep afloat, right? At some point, they're going to have to rehire again, bring back new engineers. How much money will they have left in the tank? $2, $3, $4 billion? Can they make it with that type of money? And again, I'm going to quote a billionaire here, Mark Cuban. And I think this is such a powerful statement. Mark Cuban says, people will judge the companies, labor workers will judge the companies by the way they were treated during the coronavirus. I truly believe Uber has done so much damage to their workforce, to their drivers, that people say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with this company. They weren't there for me. They didn't pay out those 14-day sick leaves. I got deactivated. They didn't pay out. People are filing unemployment. People are joining misclassification lawsuits. They're done, right? So we shall see. We shall see. But I truly, if you're a member of the public walking into my video, if you're a finance guy, if you're a Wall Street guy, if you are a driver, even if you are a laid off Uber employee or executive, chime in. Do you think they will make it? I was super excited to have the CEO of DoorDash on my live stream the other day, who called in and, shared some really valuable information. We don't get that type of feedback or interaction from Uber. Dara is very camera shy. Dara is very microphone shy, right? He stays away. So, is this the type of right leader for this type of company, this introvert type of guy who is not willing to speak to his workers, too scared because he knows they absolutely hate him, right? And that's after survey after survey after survey shows that the workforce absolutely hates him, right? And then he's out there singing and dancing with investors, fluffing up the numbers, telling them the rosy story. But reality is, it's the company is very sick at the moment, right? Tris Moore says Lyft went to Amazon because Amazon was needing a ton of drivers, so they've farmed us out, and the food and grocery apps are only doing good because everyone is on a home order. So once this virus restriction is over, don't you think the orders will die down as well as rideshare back up? Look, that's a great point there, absolutely. But the question is, depending on what you are earning with food deliveries, obviously you're comparing apples and oranges. Maybe you made more in the rideshare industry. Maybe you're making more at food. If you are making more in the food delivery department or with Amazon, for example, wouldn't you say, Tris, you will stay there? It'll be hard for you to go back once comparing in sort of income generated per week between food delivery and rides. Let's say this blows over, Tris, and then you say, okay, well, I'm going to leave food delivery now. What options do I have, right? Maybe that relationship with what I'm saying is maybe that relationship with Uber is over, is burnt out, right? Maybe people go back to Lyft. Maybe other people come and fill the void. But it's dangerous times for Uber. It's Moose says at some point in the future, these gig companies will have to get the classification resolved. The federal government isn't too happy about having to provide stimulus money to gig workers. Now, that again, another powerful and completely correct statement, right? You're on the money there, that the feds, the governors, the states do not want this to happen again. This is a big wake-up call, the fact that all of these independent contractors were left in the dark. The gig companies didn't take care of them, right? And they had to be bailed out by the government. The feds are not wanting to do this again. So they are definitely going to push for rewriting the laws, maybe a hybrid between employees and independent contractors, maybe new gig laws that see certain protections, because God forbid, we hope this never ever happens again. We hope this blows over again and we've learned from this pandemic and we take action, right, so that this never ever happens again. But God forbid it does, right? Hopefully by then, the states would have sorted this out with these gig companies and will have new laws in place that will protect drivers, that will protect food delivery people. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. It truly is, you know. And look, I mean, it ended on 22.82. Even in the after-hour trading, it's down by another 2 cents, 22.80. So to me, if I could make a prediction right now on April the 3rd, this is not April the 1st, so it's not an April Fool's Day, but 7 days from now, I would say we're back under 20. We're at 18, 19 in about a week from now. That's just my prediction. So, you know, shorting the stock, I guess you'd make money. But, you know, that's just how I see this one. I do see this one going all the way down to this level and even further. I could see the stock going all the way down to $10. Will they have enough money to bounce back? Will they have enough reserves to pull through? Interesting question. All right, my friends, I'll probably wrap this up after 30 minutes. Don't want to overkill it. But Tris Moore says, do you think because Uber is going down is why he hasn't come out to assist and offer funds to help during this time? Look, he is in a very, very, very difficult, and I'm sure you're talking about Dara Khosrowshahi, the CEO. He is in a very, very dangerous position right here, right? He's looking at his company. He's seeing it dwindling, falling apart in front of his eyes. He's seeing the whole rider market evaporate right in front of his eyes, right? He thank you, Tris. He does see an uptick in Uber Eats. He also knows that a lot of people are leaving the ship and going to other companies like Instacart. He's actually losing a lot of people. He's trying to funnel them into Uber Eats, right? We've seen that through his emails and that, right? But the reality is, as we go forward, the pandemic numbers are rising. They're not going back down. So it's getting worse by worse day after day. The scenario is definitely not getting positive. Now, the question is for how long? How long can they ride this out? They have buildings everywhere. They have Vegas hubs. They have several hubs in Los Angeles, San Diego. They have all these hubs worldwide, right? In all these cities, they have these big buildings that, you know, there's always like Travis Kalanick, bigger is better. They could have just got tiny little offices, 1/3 of the size. But no, they wanted to rent out all these elaborate buildings, right? They have so many overheads. They've been, they hired so many people. They fired so many people, right? Then they hired back cheaper engineers, right, at better prices. They brought in people, a lot of people from India and that on visas, cheaper laborers that would fulfill that. So they started cutting costs there. And now they have to let those people go again. And I understand when engineers coming in for 2 or 3 months and then has to leave again, they also have to, even the engineers and that employee force has to think, gosh, I can file for unemployment, but I need to look out for a real job. This here is not stable. But this sort of relationship here with Uber, they hired people, they fired people, they rehired cheaper labor, they let them go. So that is not a really, really safe scenario to be in, right? So even on an employee level, they have a whole different problem. But I agree with you, because they haven't come to our assistance, and they're not spending the money, and they're not delivering on those 14-day sick leave as they've promised, and they have been deactivating people, which is basically admitting guilt. People are sending in their doctor reports. Uber is cutting them off. They are supposed to be getting 14-day support. They're not. They're holding on to every little bit of money they can, hoping they can ride out the storm, knowing there are a lot of lawsuits coming in the future. That would be my answer to that. Abstract Echo, an amazing gentleman that I met in person in Long Beach, is in the house. Jimmy, a rideshare legend. Thank you for being here. Tris Moore says that's because there's less people. Their eyes are bigger than their pockets. Correct. And there's a lot of greed and mismanagement in this company, right? There's no humanity. There's no humanity. I think if you would do a survey and like on a scale of 1 to 10 and ask people, gig workers, independent workers, if you gave them all these companies, who do you work for? Okay, I work for Uber, Lyft, and then rate them 1 to 10, happiness factor. I would tell you right now, I'll put money on the table that out of 100 companies out there, Uber would rank in the top 5 as worst treatment towards independent contractors. The people are done. They're sick and tired of the promises that were never delivered. Here you are out there on the front lines. You're waiting for a sanitizer. You're waiting for the basics. You're not getting it, right? I mean, if I can get it, I can get these things Uber apparently can't get. They promised it, but they can't get it to their people. But I can still, as an individual, get my hands on it. Doesn't make any sense. Even on sanitizer, I can get my hands on it, right? But it's that promise, stringing them along, giving them hope but not delivering, giving them hope but not delivering. That is what Uber is known for, and people have been burned too many times. So I think Mark Cuban is on the money. People, the workforce will judge companies by the way they were treated in the coronavirus. And you were not treated well as an Uber driver during the coronavirus. So you say to yourself, I move on. I look for better things. I look for other companies. The same with the engineers, right? They downsized. They got cheaper labor. They got cheaper engineers. Those guys just came on. They were on the job for 60 days. They're out the back door. It's a narcissistic behavior. It definitely is. Engineers are, they are a combination of employees and contracted, right? But just as fast as they can let drivers go or deactivate, they can let these engineers go. The bottom line is, you let an engineer go, they'll never come back. They're going to look for consistency. A programmer is going to look for consistency, right? You can't just willy-nilly hire and fire and hire them back again and fire them again. And that's a whole different other world. Like with drivers, at least you have a pipeline coming in. You have students coming through the system, young people that need jobs, right? But with very few reserves left, I mean, they're burning through this last 10 billion. And they've cut all their marketing. They've stopped all their referral dollars, right? The question is, will they make it? Will they make it through? Jimmy says, Abstract Echo says, I'd love to hear feedback from Uber employees that got laid off. I do think that they sign specific documents, non-disclosures. I have received a couple of emails from actual Uber employees in the past. Would like to talk, we really can't talk, but look, it's not great. It's not a fun environment. It's a very toxic environment. But they don't go into details. When you try to press them on details, I think their mouths are sealed. But yes, I mean, if we could have some employees on the show, please call in. Please email in. I'll let you call in. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. When is the next? When are the next quarterly numbers announced? When do we get to see their next set of financials? What date is that? I don't have it in front of me. Maybe somebody could look that up for us right now. My info CLA, very good day. You're welcome in the live stream. Good afternoon, Rideshare Professor. I was at the Sprouts Farmers Market in Bellevue, Tennessee, and I was very disappointed to see no one was practicing any of the CDC requirements. That is sad, especially because you have all these experts on television telling you right now, it is better to wear masks. You are better off getting disposable gloves. You are better off getting the disinfectant sprays. But people might think, hey, I don't believe in this. This is a hoax, or I'm immune to this. It's not going to get me. Many people get a rude awakening. I tell you, do everything in your power to stay out of this problem. That means you get your necessary PPE, you keep your social distance of 6 feet, you don't go into crowded areas, you make sure you go shopping either very late at night when there's very few people there, but whatever you can do, you got to work smart here, right? I think the people that are working or willing to work smart will get through. The people who are extremely negligent, don't care, well, I wouldn't be surprised if they catch it. Like we here in LA, for example, I'll give you an idea. Governor Newsom said, stay indoor orders. What happens is spring break, all these people on the beach, right? Interacting, touching each other, playing volleyball, just like absolutely 100% not following the laws. And we hear about the stories. We hear what that does, right? That pushes the numbers up. My info CLA says, I saw Instacart shoppers flying around, no mask, no gloves. Bad. The good thing is you are aware, you're dialed in, and just judging by the way you are sharing the news, you are very alert and on top of things and doing all the right steps. That's how I see you here. Abstract Echo, I have time to make a hell of a lot of art pieces. Yeah, so Abstract Echo is a great artist. He has all the time in the world now to get arty, right? Get very creative out there. Work on those things from home. But yeah, I mean, it's not healthy, this graph, right? I mean, yeah, they're probably getting very excited here. I mean, what are we talking at, like the peak? The very peak, like went up all the way to $40, then came crashing down all the way down to $14.80. Started rallying back up again. Hit up there. What did they hit here? About 27, almost 28. Now it's down to 22.80. And now you're going to see the numbers climb. Now we sort of marching towards the peak of the storm. Now the numbers become scary, right? We climbing up. We're not quite at the top yet, but now the numbers are, before hopefully that curve starts flattening down, the numbers are really, really growing out of control. So people right now need to be extremely alert. Trismo says, drop my first tattoo. Abstract. Cool. Awesome. Okay, folks. So yeah, I would really like to hear from the Wall Street people, the financial people, from moms and pops that invest into stocks. What do you think? Even if you're not a driver or you're a rider and you're detached from the company, what do you think? I'd like to hear back from riders. I'd like to hear back from drivers. I truly would like to hear back from laid off employees, from real employees working there Obviously, I'd like to hear back from executives, but where do you see this going? I see this graph going way down now in steady jumps, like down, 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 down. And I'm going to look up when the next quarterly announcement is. Look at those figures. Those can't be rosy. Those can't be rosy. All right, my friends. Anybody that has not given a thumbs up, could we try and get that to 10? Like 10 thumbs up, that would be wonderful. Be very, very helpful. We're on 6, maybe 7 or 8. Another 1 or 2 people would be wonderful. I'd appreciate that. So I got 7. Thank you. Thank you, number 7. And thank you to all 7. We have 15 people in the house. 7 thumbs up. Let's rally here before I leave. Help me get the hours in this channel. I've got good stuff coming for you, my friends. So we have the Rideshare Professor on the one channel. We have the new channel I'm busy building out. And we're going to have a lot of different topics in this channel. I wish you nothing but a super great day. Please stay safe at all times when you're outdoors and you're touching things. Thank you for the number 8. Shopping carts, the gas handles at the gas tanks, everything. Make sure you clean your hands. You have rubber gloves on. You're using paper or cloth, whatever it is. Do not make contact with numerous services. Please, please, folks, please stop driving and stay safe for you, for your family, for your loved ones, for your friends. Let's work through this. Let's work together, right? So it's tough, may take a few months, but we will get through this. I appreciate you. I pray for you and your families, and have a marvelous day. Be well.